And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at Seven Wonders Babel. Now this is the third main expansion for Seven Wonders. There were some small expansions and such. There was Leaders before that, then Cities, and now there's Babel. Babel is actually like a split expansion. There's two main sections to this one. There's a Tower of Babel, or there are the great projects. Okay, you can use one or both, mix them together with the other stuff. Let's take a look at these two halves of this expansion, and then I'll tell you what I think of them. The first part of the expansion we'll look at is a Tower of Babel. There's two sides of the boards. This one holds three different pieces, so as a tower is built, it will look like this, which still looks like a tower, pretty cool. Or if you're playing with 5 or more players, you use this side of the board, which will have pieces placed like this. Now, at the beginning of each round, players are going to get 3 of these, and they're going to draft them around. That's actually just an extra one. So players will get 3 of these, and they'll draft one, pass it, until all players have 3 of them that they can play over the course of the game. This happens at the very beginning of the game. Now, this basically just adds an extra action to the game. Instead of playing a card, you can discard a card to place your tile out. The first tile is placed here, and then after that, they are placed in a clockwise fashion. So once the 5th one in the 5-player game is placed, it starts covering up the other ones. Each of these basically adds a rule to the game that everyone follows. So let's take a look at some of these tiles and what they do. Some of the cards provide quite good bonuses. Depending on who you are, it might be better for you than someone else. Brown resources become unlimited. Here, that changes the market. You can buy from your next players for -1. And of course, if you already have a market, even better. Here you get a free resource of one of these 3 types, or one of these 2 types. Here you can construct military buildings for no resource cost, or Wonders of the World. Here you can use someone next to you, you can use their building as a prerequisite to build a building for free if it's out there. Here, when you build a purple card, you get 5 coin bonus. There's also, of course, negative cards. This shuts down all the markets in the game. This adds 1 when you buy a resource from other people. This shuts down all double or either or resources. Only single resources count. This, when you play this one, you have to pay a cost equal to whatever age you're in to build a Wonder of the World or to build a military unit. Here, when you take -1 for losing a military conquest, you'll take 2 instead. And here, when you win a military conquest, you get 1 level less. So if it's the 3rd age, instead of getting 5 victory points, you would only get 3. And there's plenty more of each of these. You have to know the right time to play them, because until they're covered up, these laws are in play. Now, in the Great Projects, a part of this game, you're going to use a Great Project card. In case you think these are the regular cards from the game, these are the regular cards in the game. These Great Project cards are much bigger. And you're going to randomly pick one for each age. And you'll turn that card over, and that's something everybody is working on. You're then going to place participation tokens on the board equal to 1 less than the number of players. So let's say there's 6 players in the game, then I would put 5 of these on here. Now, the way this works is, in this particular case, this factory, when someone plays a brown card, a resource card in front of them, they can also pay whatever it says here, in this case 2 coins, to take one of these resource tokens. So that's what they get. Each person can do that as many times, and if all these resource tokens are taken by the end of the age, then the factory, this great thing, is built, and anybody who participated in it is going to get a reward. If they all are not taken, then it's a failure, and anybody who did not participate in it gets something bad happens to them. So if you don't participate and it finishes, you're fine. If you did participate and it doesn't finish, well, you get nothing. In this particular case, each person who participates gets one of these tokens, and in the future they can participate in one of these great projects without having to worry about the color card they play. If it failed, each person would have to discard a gray card that they have, and if you didn't have one, you'll get negative victory points equal to the age it's in. So this is age 1, so you would get a -1 victory point. Other things that might show up. Here, for example, you'll get one of these tokens if it succeeds, and you, in the future, can ignore the costs for one card that you play by discarding this token. If you don't build it, then you discard a brown card. Here it simply just gives you a victory point. But if you don't do it, it's going to cover up one of the wonders, special abilities on your board, and you won't get it, which is a terrible token to have to take. Here, you can build one of your Wonders of the World for free, but if you don't do it, then you lose a red card. Here you simply get money, or if you don't do it, you will lose all your money. Sometimes, this is one from age 3, they'll give you a double military thing you put in front of you. It's like you have 2 more military. If you don't have it, you'll lose 2 of the military tokens that you have. Here, this gives you 3 points, a token that's worth 3 points for each set of science resources you have. This one gives you 12 gold. And there's all sorts of, and they're also really cool artwork and stuff on these, but they give you different bonuses depending on the age, but only one of them is going to come out each age, and they're either going to completely succeed or completely fail. You know, when I saw this expansion demoed at Gen Con this year, I saw it and they showed me the Great Wonders, the Great Projects, and I said, oh, that's interesting. And then they showed me the Tower of Babel, and I was really excited, not only because of the visual effect that it has as you build the tower, but because I liked all the different laws that were added to the game. When I played it, I liked the Tower of Babel expansion, but I really liked the Great Projects. In fact, I think that's my favorite part of the expansion for the game thus far, which is kind of odd because I think I'm at odds with many other people. It seems like most people like the tower better. The tower is interesting. It adds like artificial rules of the game, different things that are good and different things that are bad, and you have to kind of work with them and knowing when to play your tile. For example, if you have the tile that says you get 5 gold coins for having a purple building out there, you don't want to play that tile until the last turn. But when you do play that at the end, you're giving up playing a card. And it's also something to do when you, and there's also bonuses I didn't mention for building all your tower pieces at the end of the game. When you play all the different tower, if you play all 3 of your Babel tiles, you get 10 victory points. If you play 2 of them, 5, and if you play 1, 2 points. So there is that wanting to get those out there because 10 points is, hey, 10 points. And I find it humorous that the score pad has yet another line on it. I have a score pad from each expansion and each get a little bit bigger. But the Babel thing is a neat thing, and you'll put some out there and people are like, ah. Or sometimes when you're drafting them, you'll see one that you absolutely hate, and you'll take it knowing you'll never play it. So that's interesting. It adds another little drafting, but it doesn't add a lot to the length of the game. It gives you another option. Cool. Great Projects, on the other hand, it's a small change that really changes things up. If, for example, I turn over the first one, and it says, build a science card and pay a coin and gets a special ability, I might have been thinking, I'm not going to do science this game. But now I'm thinking I might want to do it. And I love these rewards. Now, the only negative thing is these rewards add a ton of tokens because they have to have one of each reward token for if you're playing a full game of 7 players. You're going to need 7 different tokens for that. Or I guess 6 tokens because there's one less of the participation things out there. So there's a lot of little tokens involved in this, and that might be fiddly. However, you only need to, you can just say, oh, here's the tokens we need for this one. The rewards are okay. Some of them are really good. I really like the ones that give you put out a building for free in the future because that may really come in handy later on. Or the one that's 3 victory points for a set of science tokens. Others are not nearly as special, but they certainly keep you on your toes. And the negative things are bad enough that makes you want to get involved, or at least hope other people get involved. These are fascinating on how much they change the game. And it's a small thing. It doesn't change anything that you're doing particularly. It doesn't add an extra action or anything to the game. It just makes you sit there and go, oh, that rewards you for putting out military buildings. So I wasn't planning on building a military building, but maybe now I will. Interesting. Something simple to the game. I like it quite a bit. Now, how do these fit together? I don't know that I would play them both at the same time because, first of all, that's a lot of real estate on the table, having the Tower of Babel but it does give you a lot of options. Mixing them with leaders, mixing them with cities, So this is what I would do. The Tower of Babel, I think, could be mixed with anything. You could mix it with the leaders and the cities and you're fine. I probably wouldn't do it at the same time as the Great Works. Great Works I would use with the leaders, but I don't know that I would mix it with cities because when you add cities into the game, you dilute the number of cards that are in there. So might say build science cards, and there may not be as many science cards as you want in that particular deck. So I don't know that I would mix those two together. But hey, you can do what you want. And this is a really solid expansion because you might like one or the other, or if you're like me, like both of them. This is my favorite expansion thus far. I like the Tower of Babel, but I really like the Great Works in here. So, or Great Projects or whatever it's called. Giant cards. Anyhow, check it out. Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.